Welcome everybody, Epi here, coming at you with the next Epi chat. The last one was with PPD. He suggested that I would talk to Biryu, and I will get on that, but first I would like to see how things develop in the scene, so I get to know him a bit more as a spectator, and then it will make more sense. But in the meantime, I was able to contact someone that I've been wanting to do an Epi chat with for a very long time. It's a veteran of the Dota scene in general. He's been around for pretty much as long as Pro Dota 2 has been around, attended all 5 TIs, and is not very flashy, but extremely experienced. Like, not flashy in terms of very vocal and so on, but this makes it all the more interesting. My guest today is the MiSeRy on Team Secret, and yeah, thank you very much for taking the time, and I'm very happy to have this opportunity. Hi, MiSeRy.
Hello, you're welcome. No problem.
Great. How are you? How are you doing? Where are you right now? And how's life?
I'm doing good. I'm at home. Yeah, it's going good. I'm happy to be in Team Secret, and yeah, everything's going well.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely touch on that a little bit more in depth in a bit. Just due to the occasion, you just told me that you saw at least part of the game Monkey Business versus Fünf Jungs.
Yeah, I did.
Monkey Business won the third game, and anything in particular that stood out to you? Anything you want to say about the match?
Um, I mean, just felt like Anti-Mage was too strong of a hero,
Mm.
and it feels like right now, the team with Anti-Mage, if it's a scrappy game where mistakes are made and stuff, Anti-Mage probably usually wins. What it feels like, Anti-Mage is just too strong and too easy to play, both as a team and as a player. Um, that's kind of what it felt like that series came down to, just Anti-Mage.
Due to him just being so mobile and split pushy, or?
Yeah, it just feels like he's too strong. Like he just kind of blinks in with his items and right clicks people and they die. And split pushes too fast that enemies have a hard time dealing with it. And it doesn't take much. Like, let's say the enemy has a lead on Anti-Mage,
Yeah.
and they make one mistake, and Anti-Mage gets like a double kill and
Mm.
has this Battlefield Lads or something. That double kill transitions into a full Manta,
Mm.
and the whole lead is completely gone, and everything's switched around completely. So it's very, you get punished really hard when you play against Anti-Mage and you make mistakes. And since all teams are so new right now, and teams are not really playing as a team, they're like not 100%.
Mm.
They're not so good at maybe capitalizing on their lead.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
Um, and so mistakes are made, or some throws are being made, or they take fights 4-on-5, or without finishing their item, or something like that. And then this anti-mage ends up getting some kills, or some extra time to farm, or something like that. And that like just brings him in a really good spot in the game. And that's why I think anti-mage is really good right now.
He really thrives in the current environment where people are trying to find their play style, how to work together and stuff.
Yeah, I think so. And Anti-Mage has been around forever and hasn't changed, so people kind of understand how to play with it. And like as a player too, like Zero is, I mean, it's not easy to play, but it has like you don't have to play it significantly well or anything
Have a big
to
impact. Or?
yeah, to just be able to play the hero.
Mm.
Whereas Phantom Lancer and these type of heroes, they're way different when it comes to yeah, to how you have to play them to be useful.
Yeah.
There are more different builds too. Like Ensimate is straightforward. You go Battlefield Lads Mensa and BKB and Abyssal. You know, it's very simple. Whereas what you do with PL to make the hero work 100% in each specific game varies a lot. Like sometimes you want to go Shreds, Diffusal. Sometimes you want to go BOT. Sometimes even after that, there's people going Saint and Yasha, and I've seen Shadowblade and stuff. So it's even the early items like Bottle and Aquila drums and stuff. It's all a question mark, and I think it depends a lot from game to game. And the hero is not quite figured out as much as AM is, for example. So yeah, I think that was basically for me the came down to it. Probably Monkey just plays a bit better as well as a team.
Yeah. How
And
did you like the like? What's your impression of Fünf Jungs and Monkey Business? Like, let's start with Fünf Jungs.
I think they have like you can definitely see that they're a new team, and I think they still are trying to find their synergy as a team. They still feel like five guys playing, like five really good individual players playing together. It
Mm.
doesn't feel like they're actually a team just yet,
Mm.
and I think it will take a bit more time for them. Whereas I think Monkey is gonna find it better and faster. Maybe because I mean, obviously, Fly and No Tail played together before. Moonminder and Fly played together just before this tournament,
Yeah.
and I think that matters a lot. Whereas Fim Jungs is just literally five guys who never played together before.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you've played with at least one of those guys on a team as well.
Yeah.
So this is also one of the things I feel like I'm very privileged to be able to talk to you about all these things, since you've played together with, like, I did my research today, and that made me realize with how many people you've actually played,
Hmm.
and also over longer periods of time. But before we go into Team Secret, how that came about, and perhaps the other things, there were a few other topics I want to touch upon. But we just mentioned Fünf Jungs. Um, okay, so your impression so far is just, you can just tell that they're just five great players, but they have not just found. So it's just normal for the
Yeah,
beginning phase.
I think it's still yeah it's still new for them.
Mm.
Some games it seems like they have a really good flow, but other games it seems like they are struggling a bit to find the whole team thing. You know, they don't really understand each other 100% yet. Maybe they don't really. Everyone is not on the same page in terms of picks and stuff like that. And I mean, it's totally natural.
Mm.
I think every team is like that right now,
Yeah.
and you still need more time. You need real tournaments. These qualifier games and stuff is too. It's you need more time basically. You need more real tournaments before you can really start playing as a team or find out who is the better team actually than yeah and who's not.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, I'm also looking forward to see how it goes, and in a bit we're also gonna talk about how perhaps you guys are doing so far. But there's one thing, since it's the question I want to ask you is about the past. I wanted to get that out of the way first. I saw an interesting interview in your HTC bootcamp, yeah, with Cloud9, and Hotbit was interviewing you, and this ties in with kind of your reputation you have. It's
Mm.
that you're just a very approachable and nice guy. You're not, like, for example, Loda openly talks about how in the past perhaps he was sometimes a little bit arrogant, and but he by now definitely worked through that for several years now. But like, you've always had a very very positive reputation, I guess. And in that interview, you mentioned that one of the things that you learned throughout the different TIs was that you learned how to lose and how to be humble as a player. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Um, I don't I gotta stop you there for a moment
Sure.
because I actually like, I have ever had a really good reputation. I felt like I worked myself through the last few years, and now I find myself to be more likable.
Ah, okay. Can you? Okay,
I
how
had
was it?
I had a reputation at Dota 1 of just being a flamer,
Uh huh.
and I was. It's true. Like I was like flaming a lot and whining a lot,
Mm-hmm.
being pretty cancerous and being a child and like yeah, that kind of just stuck around for a long time through Dota 1 and even into Dota 2 for several years. And people still, some people, I still see it coming up here and there, like how cancerous I am and why people want to play with me and stuff, these things. So definitely, I have never really had a really good reputation. I think it's only the last year or two where, I mean, maybe the pro players don't look at me that way,
Mm-hmm.
but at least the community has looked at me as being a cancerous player or like yeah just bad for the team or something like that.
Were there any specific incidents that gave you that reputation that come to mind?
I mean sure, just I played a lot in Dota 1 and I flamed a lot even in all chat and official games and stuff, so I deserved it. I deserved it for sure,
Okay.
the bad reputation, but it just stuck around way too long. I mean I've been a good guy for a long time, and I
Yeah.
don't attend drama really or anything like that.
Mm.
But I don't really take any. Okay, I don't really stand in the spotlight too often. So yeah, yeah, I was just surprised how long it stuck around. But anyway, that was just correcting you a bit because
Yeah, thanks for doing that. I mean, I had that. That came from the fact that I met you 2014 at ESL in Frankfurt, and we sat just in the ranks to watch the game, and I was surprised how how approachable you were. We could just chat and stuff. So obviously, this is I did not have the whole picture of it, and I didn't follow Pro Dota 1. So thanks for pointing that out for sure. The change, or I guess like the growing up or changing character, that came about then sometime during Pro Dota 2 in your career, I would assume. And was there any specific team where you would say you made the switch and realized, this is kind of shitty, I don't like it, I need to grow up?
I think it just came like I think in LGD End when we stayed in China, it was around this time that I realized that basically there just came so much more focus on people, how people were, and how you can behave and how you can't behave in a team.
How long were you
Not
in China again?
like 8 months.
Oh wow, so just five foreigners in China for 8 months hanging
Yep,
out.
pretty
Okay.
much.
Wow.
It was pretty awful in the long run. But I mean, basically, just you learn something new from every team you play in and every player you play with. And I realized that I was maybe really bad at one point. I was never really a bad teammate, but I probably affected my team in a bad way by whining and yeah, saying random shit and stuff like that, maybe, or being really angry when I lost, or
Mm-hmm.
being annoyed when I died. I never was a person who flamed my team ever. I always flamed my enemy more so than anything, or myself even more so than anything else. I would never flame my team, so I was never a bad teammate. But I think I still had some issues with my temper back in the day.
I see what you're
But
saying.
that kind of that's definitely over now. And I realize now that I look at myself as being probably one of the best teammates that you can have in the whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've kind of understood what I did wrong in the past, and since I've played with so many people, I understand what people have had in terms of their flaws. In that sense of being how you are as a person in the team. So because I was like that in the past, I've actually thought about this so much that now I think I'm so aware of what I'm saying and what
Absolutely.
what people are saying and what's important and stuff like that. So
So if we would talk about being a teammate and that big lesson that you learned about, because this is a very big part of Pro Dota, and obviously you realize how huge this is. Could you talk a bit about what, or go a little bit more in depth about, like you said, you didn't flame your teammates or criticize your teammates, so you just kind of created a bad energy because you kept maybe rambling on about just how bad the game is for you, or what?
I mean, I think it's still just a habit of players even now. I read a thing on Reddit about Malini,
Yeah, I
and
saw that too.
he had just been at a LAN event or something like that, and he talked about how amateur players are compared to pro players now, and
Mm.
it's very true. How the amateur players are usually like, why did you not stun him there, or why did you do this, or oh my god, why that, blah blah blah. Just having this really negative attitude towards the team, just generally bringing bad energy out of a missed spell or something. And when you do this, the other player or even your whole team just crumbles slowly and surely. It doesn't even have to be that direct, but if you just do it a little bit in game, your team will crumble slowly and surely.
Mm.
And this is kind of what I'm talking about, like, or this is the essence of it basically, how you are in game and but also outside the game, how you talk to your teammates and how you behave. This
But it's
is
still
probably more
it's
important. Yeah.
yeah, and it's a really absolutely. So just for the people that don't know what Misery was getting at, there was a video of Merlini after he was in Cologne for the for a LAN event, and he essentially talked about, do not dwell on mistakes you've made in the past and flame your teammates for it and create a bad energy. Instead, focus your energy on the things you can change, and that is the current attitude in the team, how you support your team, and how you act and react moving forward. Like, spend your energy on the things that you can change. And how is it outside of the game? So we're clear on how to be positive inside of the game. Is there also anything in particular, like, that you change in terms of how you address problems with your teammates?
I mean, it really depends a lot, like on how your team functions. But like one thing is you can be positive in game, and there's this thing where you don't really discuss any mistakes or anything that happened in game. You take it after the game. But then if you take it after the game, and you still have to be constructive, right? You can't just be like let out like all. If you're frustrated, the worst thing you can do is start yelling and then screaming and stuff. And so it also comes even outside the game. It's also important how you communicate, and because it all comes down to how it also comes down to trust in the end. Like if you start yelling at someone or flaming someone for your mistake, or just generally creates negative vibe, then if you continue doing it, if you do it one time, you can be forgiven for it. Like people don't care, but if you continue doing it, you're gonna lose the trust from your teammates, and that kind of snowballs into yourself losing trust in your teammates as well, right? And then the whole team kind of crumbles from there. So this whole thing is very important.
Yeah, I agree. There's okay, no, I think you said everything there is to say. Is this a reason why you've played so much with PyCat? Because you are similar in views, or how is your relationship to him?
I mean, we don't really talk much anymore, but there's no bad blood between us at all. We kind of just we started playing together, and we played in CLG together the first time. Went to TI. Loda wanted to make a team with me, PyCat, Ake, and himself plus one. That was to become Alliance later on. But we that was TI after TI2, and IG won TI2, and China seemed so strong that year. So we were just like we were talking about going to China instead, and going to play there and live there, PyCat and I. So we kind of declined Loda and went our own way to make a team and go to China, because we kind of had talked to LTD as a sponsor at that point, and they were ready to make an international team, and they had a house ready for us and stuff like that. So we went with that idea instead. And
That's
then what
interesting. If how was sorry, finish that sentence. Sorry.
No, just go ahead and ask. I can go
Okay.
for a long time without this.
Great.
So,
So yeah, so after TI2, everybody was in the Chinese flavor, and very nice insight, definitely. Then you formed LGD, and I want to ask how that came about. So you and PyCat had this opportunity, and how did God Brax and 1437 come in?
um, wow, that's a good question. Yeah, we kind of just uh, wanted to keep playing together, Packet and I, and we went to China. And then how we got the players were probably we talked to Theban first, I think, 1437, and then we had the two support players. I actually don't remember how we got to the players, but it
Okay.
was not very. We needed people that we trusted in at the time, and we used a good 2 weeks to a month finding the right players, and asked several people. But at that time it was also a big commitment you had to take to actually go and move to China, because at the time we were committed to like doing it for next TI, the whole year
Yeah.
kind of thing. And yeah, you wanted to make a team that you could like. Yeah, I don't know. It was a really hard project to make work if you look back at it. But yeah, we tried. We had our best intentions going into it for sure.
Then you spent 8 months in China, and I guess then there you would realize that if you spend so much time with just the same people and like no new inputs, then especially if you're young and you have bad habits and you're not really good in communication, different cultures and so on, it just gets really rough. So what were like the things that made life together really challenging over there in China?
Um, well, the first 2 months went great, right? We played in this tournament called G League, and we actually destroyed everyone in China. We 3-0 Tongfu, who had been really strong, and like we went to the finals straight up,
Hmm.
and we brought a whole new meta to China basically with Chen and stuff, and Chinese were not ready for it. And then because of the Chinese New Year, we went home for 1 month and came back from that 1 month and played the finals, and we lost the finals to IG, and we ever since then we really it just went downhill from there on. Um, and people just got generally tired of the food and the environment and the weather and like the people and the language, and we didn't know anybody. It was just us in one big house. Um, the food was cooked there, made there, eaten there. We all slept in the same house. We played in the same house. We did go outside now and then, but we didn't really know anyone. So what would we do there? We
Yeah,
didn't
like
know the
what are they gonna do,
language.
right?
No one speaks English there really, and yeah, it was pretty rough living there for so long. People had their own ways of getting past the time. I think God played a lot of pubs, and sometimes when like me and Pike would go to clubs in the weekends, and Brex had his girlfriend or something talking to her and playing with her in America, and Theben had his thing or something. I'm not really, I don't remember exactly, but like people went tried their best to went through with it, but no one really liked being there like the last few months.
So it wasn't. Do I understand it correctly that it wasn't really that there was issues between the team members, but just everybody was not happy with the situation?
Yeah, but like obviously people weren't happy about the environment, but people also obviously got tired of each other off
Mm.
that, because you did spend a lot of time together and you were always there with each
Yeah.
other. You didn't really have any privacy for a long time.
Mm.
So and you play together every day and you don't qualify for the few tournaments there are at the time. And then you another point about this is that you look back in Europe, because in Europe there was a lot of tournaments.
Yeah.
We kind of made the wrong decision going to China, because what happened was after TI2, China had like 4 tournaments a year and a few online tournaments, something like that.
Mm.
Whereas Europe like exploded that year. 50K tournaments everywhere, and at this time it was like we just wanted to play, a lot.
Yeah.
And in Europe, you would see these fanatics and Alliance and playing official games every day.
Yeah.
And we would sit in China and having to wait 1 week for our one official game
Ah, that
and
sucks.
scrim every day, the same teams. And like, it was really rough, watching these European teams and you couldn't play against them.
Mm.
And yeah, it was a bit sad that way. There was a lot of factors playing into why it was hard to live there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that gives us a lot of insight. That's very nice to hear. I do want to ask one more follow-up question to 1437, since he's been essentially played. He has played a big role in former Team Secret, and
Yeah.
since you know pretty much everybody pretty well, and you've played with 1437, do you know kind of where that decision? Like, can you understand where the decision came from to have 1437 in that role for Team Secret, and what do you imagine was the value that he added to Team Secret?
Uh, I think I think just I think he was just contacted by Kuroki
Mm-hmm.
or by that team about coaching, because he didn't have a team maybe after TI3, or was it 4? I mean whatever. It must have been TI4.
Mm.
Um, and so he kind of just agreed to that. And I think because it is a star-studded team to coach for, even it's a good project, right? It's like it's a good thing. I think he saw the potential in that team for sure,
Mm.
and I think he brought a lot of things to it. I thought he was like, I remember going to a lot of lands Secret were at in the beginning, because I played with the Lions at that time, and I always saw him, and he was always so motivated, walking around with his cap, looking like a real coach, trying to do his absolute best. And yeah, I think he helped them a lot over the time. I think towards the end it was probably very hard, because yeah, there was some other internal issues that he kind of can't deal with. But in
Mm.
terms of helping the drafter out and studying the enemy team you're gonna play against or whatnot, I think he did a really good job
Mm.
of analyzing opponents and stuff like that. So I think that's a definitely you kind of do want a coach nowadays, and there's not that many good ones. So he was
Mm.
definitely one of them.
And what are like what would these issues be where 1437 would not be in a position to really take too much influence in terms of Team Secret?
Well, I mean, like you're kind of assigned to the team as a former player, as a coach, helping with drafts and helping with some random things in game, watching your games and stuff.
Mm.
Maybe a bit of communication, helping with that. But in terms of people not liking each other and like social things and like he's not a psychiatrist and he's not a like a mental coach or something like that. So he's not educated in any way to fix these things.
Okay.
So that's where he can probably, I mean, he can try his best, but it's not that's not what he's like. I don't think you can blame him for that kind of stuff.
Where do these pretty like kind of these internal issues that end up destroying a team? Um, you must have thought a great deal about this. Like, where does it come from, and what makes it so difficult to just work through it and solve it?
I mean, yeah, it is. There's I don't think there's a straight up answer to that. It comes from some of the things we already talked about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
about people's attitude and what people say and stuff, and what things are being talked about and what things aren't being talked about. Like if people have issues with each other and they don't talk about it forever, and it builds up, and you start losing and stuff, it's also it's combined to if you continue losing the games and people have different opinions to why you're losing
Yeah.
and stuff like that. It's some complicated things. It's just about the whole team thing. It's complicated.
Yeah,
I,
that it
I don't
definitely
know
is.
for
Yeah.
sure what happens. Like it also comes down to the people you're like every team is different.
Hmm. How would you like how if you find yourself in a similar situation, you know you're in a team that has huge potential, and most of the problems that you're encountering basically have to do with personalities and miscommunications. How would you go about trying to work through it? Like, would you get a third party person that's uninvolved to come in and help working through the issues, or what would your approach be?
I think that's definitely a good idea, and I think people have started to think about stuff like that quite recently, or throughout the last year or two.
Hmm.
How you can get a not a Dota coach, but an actual uh, what do you even call that? Like a coach manager kind of guy that takes care of these things for
Yeah.
you. But I think the problem with that is that it's so hard to find a person like that.
Hmm.
Maybe it's not, but it kind of still is because if you get a person like that and he doesn't understand anything about Dota,
Hmm.
like a professional mental coach or something, and the person don't get Dota, it's still gonna be difficult. And you kind of need all five players in the team to believe in it
Yeah.
and to really want to do this thing, and that's also hard in itself. So I think it's something that will happen eventually, but I don't know if if everything is ready for it yet.
Hmm. Okay. If we talk about your past teams, I went through, and in terms of big teams, correct me if I missed anybody or if I'm wrong with any of those. I got MYM, then EG, CLG, LG International, Team Dog, which then became Mouse. Um, have I missed anything? I'm just checking.
Then I played with Alliance
Alliance,
for a
exactly.
few months. Then I played with Secret for a few weeks, and then I played Cloud9, and now I'm at
Cloud9, yes,
Secret.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. And from those teams that you've played with, which ones would you say did you like the most, or is there even different ones that you like the most in terms of what we talk about? Like if you would say in terms of team chemistry, it's this team. In terms of skill and success, it's this team. Like what is your ranking there?
Mm, that's really hard to say because I feel like in LGD Int those 2 months we did great. We had like it was amazing those 2 months.
Hmm.
Just playing and being there and atmosphere, everything was so nice. And the same goes for like almost every team I played in. There has always been so good times. But yeah, in terms of if I have to say the best team and the most fun I've had playing Dota was probably just the short time I had with Secret
Mm-hmm.
last year
Mm-hmm.
around this time as well. I was just 2 weeks and I played like two finals of it, so two tournaments, and I went from support to playing offlane, like just like I did now,
Yeah.
and I was so motivated, even more motivated than I am now. Like it was so much fun to play. Um, so that was probably the most fun I've had playing in a long time. And then of course now again I'm switching to a new role and new players and stuff. It's very nice to play now.
But I mean, looking at your history, I mean, you are as experienced as it gets, and like hearing that your short stint in Secret would be your pick. I mean, then leaving must have been pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it like that either. It was just like I said before, I said that as well. It's like every team I played in has had so great times. Like yeah, playing in Alliance was a lot of fun too
Yeah,
in some tournaments, and like playing Cloud9 was great too. We had some pretty good results and had some good time. But yeah, like playing with Secret was some really good times because I really felt like that team could have gone really far, right?
mm,
And yeah, I mean, without me and Johan and Sai Artisi, it did. So like, I don't know if we could have accomplished the same, but at least the belief was there at the time. Um, but right after Secret, I was asked by Cloud9, so it wasn't. It sucked a bit because I had my expectations so high. I had got this great opportunity playing with Secret
mm,
and won two tournaments
yeah.
and played really well and stuff. I was super motivated, and then yeah, they had a done deal already, and Cyan Artisi was gonna replace me and Johan, and like, all right, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean,
It wasn't really on me, so
mm,
I mean, I couldn't feel bad, but it was just, it kind of still felt like too bad, it sucked.
yeah, because you were so motivated and so ready to play your part and not let anyone down, and you didn't feel like you got the chance to do it.
I mean, I played with the team, I played well, I did everything I could, and we won two tournaments, and
Yeah.
then like it was not on me at all. I couldn't do anything, and I couldn't
Like, what do you
like.
mean with that?
I mean, the decision had already been made even before I was asked. Kind of, like I was asked to play with them, and that was gonna be the team. But they had already been talking to Artur like and Sai like 1 month ago, asking them or
So you
something like that.
knew
They
this
had
going in.
they had no, I didn't, but they had been talking about this for like half a year or something. But
Mm,
back in the day, they didn't want to leave Ichi or something like that. I don't know exactly, but like it was something like that.
mm.
So yeah, I don't know exactly the details, but I
So it
just know
wasn't
that
okay. It
it
wasn't like a big surprise all of a sudden, and so you
not
you.
not to the players. I think it
Mm,
had been talked about before at least. To
okay.
me, obviously, it was a surprise, but
Okay.
yeah, whatever.
All right. And in Cloud9, a very interesting mix of players. I had it on my list as well. I didn't scroll down far enough and that didn't come to mind. It makes me ashamed. But still, Eternal Envy and Bone 7 were almost talked about as the two, directors of the game.
Mm.
And you also said in the interview with Hotbit that they have also slightly different understandings of the game. With EE, I think I correct me if I'm wrong, but he is the kind of, for Protect 1, he puts a lot of the pressure of winning the games on himself. And pretty much everything hinges on him, especially in the later stages of the game. If that's a correct assessment, could you then talk a bit about Bone 7 or either correct me?
Mm. Oh, it's so hard to talk about this. Well, I think
Why is it hard? Like, 'cause it's complicated or something else?
It's complicated. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
really know how to
Hmm.
express everything
Mm-hmm.
without sounding like a douchebag or something like that. But like about Envy, I think Envy is just Envy. He wants to do everything he can to win the game and to improve.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he doesn't mind being sacked. He doesn't mind like in the game. He doesn't mind not being this super carry. He would sacrifice himself so other his mid player could get farm and win the game like that way as well. He's not in game. He's not maybe that egoistic as he is outside the game or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. Even though it might appear so,
Okay.
he just wants to win, no matter what it costs. About Bone Seven, I felt like he was the worst player in the team
Mm-hmm.
and probably the worst offlaner in any top team.
Mm-hmm.
And at DAC, I felt like if we had had a good offlane player, we would have won the tournament. Um, and I mean, this is so rough, but it's that's how I feel really about it. And I don't feel like he was really good enough. Uh, and then we kind of talked about it after DAC and after Star Ladder,
Mm-hmm.
and he stepped up and he tried harder and he actually improved on a lot of things and gained trust back from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Which made him, after Summit, we decided to get Bone 7 as captain, and it was really good. And for a while, I think he, yeah, he had some new ideas and some good ideas about how to play the game, and it worked out really well at MDL, which we should probably also gone further in than we did. But we had a way of throwing the game, so it didn't happen.
How I do want to just go back for a sec. So essentially, it was more or less common understanding inside the game that you could improve a lot as a team if Bone Seven would try better to fulfill his role as an offlaner. Or was it also in terms
I
of
don't know. It's so complicated. Like it's not only in game. It's also the way he was communicating and the way he was discussing everything.
like, was it not
Like
very productive? Was it more argumentative?
he always wanted to discuss everything, no matter how little of a detail it was. Anything, any kind of critics he would discuss, it would always end up in a huge argument,
Okay.
going back and forth. Like it was actually so ridiculous how many things we discussed in that team. We never came to any conclusion, which made it really hard to improve on anything
Mm-hmm.
because we would always disagree with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that originated from Bone 7 mostly, and if I have to look back on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think people got smitten by that concept of discussing because I don't know, it's kind of a natural thing. It kind of got a habit to everyone that whenever something was said, you kind of had to, is that true? Or I don't know if about that. And you started discussing everything.
Okay.
And I think that affected the team a lot. But this Cloud9 team had so many problems and so many strange things. So that's just I don't know. It was a really complicated team in many ways.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's those are just two members, two philosophies. Um, and what was Bone Seven's like once he became the captain? What was his style?
well, he wanted to focus a lot on early game because, well, um, he wanted to focus on early game because we played early game better, and it felt like every time we came to late game we would lose,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. And so, straight up going with that mentality, whenever we went late game, we would always lose because there was no trust and faith in how to play late game
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And that's a really big issue going into a tournament like TI where you kind of have to, like, there's no way you're not going to go late game in TI. And
Absolutely.
there's no way you're not going to go mid game. And there's no way you can play whole TI winning laning phase with Skyred Mage every game, Bane every game, and expect to go far. So we actually lost so much trust in each other from having that mentality going into TI. It wasn't like that initially when Bone 7 was drafting. Like at MDL and in scrims and stuff, we played all heroes. It was just fucking, we had so many balls and so many ideas, and everything was so cool, and it felt like you really had faith in the team again.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened down the road. Like people just lost faith in each other, and yeah, no one believed anyone could play anything, and we were so afraid of playing anything basically.
Yeah, and
Um,
faith is very like that's what many pro players over the time have told me too. Is that faith in each other is so important. Um, so I think
yeah,
you
so
you
it's
know
it's like this kind of mentality where you want to first pick a Lina, but you don't feel like you don't feel like you're gonna get anything out of Lina.
mm-hmm,
But if the enemy gets Lina, you will get smashed. Like
mm-hmm.
no one can stay against Lina mid, and then it goes to like Phantom Lancer, the like that tournament, like the best team at the tournament, probably CDEC, won with that tournament with hero every game they played almost, and we played a lot of PL, and Envy is known for his PL and stuff, but for some reason we couldn't play it, and we stopped picking it. And then there's like Rubik and stuff like this Rubik hero, like against VG for example, we would talk about Rubik being a good pick, and we would be afraid of picking it the first game because it's weak in lane, and we might get run over. Then we throw the first game and lose. So whatever. Our picks was fine. We were ahead a lot. We throw. So the next game, no, they picked Rubik that game.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they picked Rubik and they raped us with Rubik.
Yeah.
He destroyed us. He stole Phoenix Egg and Shadowfiend
Oh
Ultimate.
yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Destroyed us completely.
That was the
Then,
FY story. Yeah.
yeah. And then the next game, I suggest picking Rubik, and this is where we're like banning it because we think it's too weak in lane,
Mm.
and we don't want them to have it. So you see this logic? It's like
Yeah. Absolutely.
you can never win TI. You can never win games with this mentality. And I don't know what happened, but
So
this is kind
definitely.
of what happened at the main stage of TI. Everything like that was we were so afraid of picking any hero. I felt, and it was a team thing. It was not only on Bone 7 for sure.
Yeah. No, it doesn't come across that you're putting it all on Bone 7. That's for sure. Like you're making sure to say that it's a team phenomenon that you're talking about. But you just you focused on just one aspect of a complicated issue.
Yeah.
So sticking with this issue for a sec, I know Fata for a pretty long time. I know that I can imagine under pressure that he could also be maybe a little bit hot-headed. Was he still like that in Cloud9? Did he have moments of hot-headedness too? Or what was his, how did you experience him during these very stressful days at TI?
Well, actually, if you look back at the Cloud9 as a team, I
Mm-hmm.
think everyone in the team raged at one point,
Mm.
and if not multiple times individually. So for sure, Fata has been raging at one point doing one time doing TI and like before that as well. I think everyone did. Yeah, the team was just so fucked up that like it was so frustrating to play in that team actually.
Mm.
Um,
All right, then let's move on to I think the topic that many people are really interested in. I mean, some very good stuff came to light, so I'm very grateful about that. But Team Secret, you're now well playing with. First question: is it W33 or how do you call him?
you just call him Weeha.
Weeha. All right, and then of course Puppy and Pylai Die and Eternal Envy. So you have a one old teammate in Envy, and Puppy is captaining the whole thing. So the first thing that came to mind in me is EE. I always saw as also a very strong character, and he had his own firm understanding of the game. But since also Bone 7 was doing the captaining, did he have a problem at all with the roles? Like, how was your guys' just talk maybe about the team chemistry in general. I mean, Puppy obviously the captain. I think everybody in your team respects him as a captain making the decisions. But how did it all come about, and what's the feel like right now?
Um, well, after TI, I kind of felt like I just wanted to, like, because everyone there was so much feeding going on after TI ended, and
What does
see
that mean?
people,
Sorry.
like just people talking about who's gonna play with who and what are you gonna do and stuff, and I kind of just was really laid back and just I just wanted to chill and see if I got any opportunities
Hmm.
rather than going around asking people to play with me. I would
Sorry, just
rather
gonna
have.
interrupt one sec.
Mm.
Was it also a lot of was it did it have a gossipy high schoolish vibe, or was it more professional in terms of where you're gonna go, how are things gonna be?
I don't know. I think every like people just talked about who's what are you gonna do, and
Okay.
I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll play with this guy or something, and then people would conversate like that, and then you would kind of get to a conclusion on who's gonna play with who and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
And like when people asked me, I would always just say that I was gonna chill and see what happened and
Hmm.
see who if I would get an opportunity, because I was kind of like I didn't really know if I want like I didn't actually know who I wanted to play with at all. So I was just relaxed. I didn't think about it too much. Um, and then I got home and I went to see my girlfriend and people. I started talking to some people on Skype just randomly, and I talked to Poppy a bit, and I told him that like I thought about it, and probably Poppy was the one person I always wanted to play with,
Hmm.
and this would probably be the time to try out playing with Poppy. And I told him, and yeah, this is kind of how I got into the team. And at that time, it was just me. It was just he was already talking to Envy a lot, and yeah, so it was I wouldn't mind playing with Envy again. We even though the team was Cloud9 was fucked up, it was like it would still be fine to play with one person. The whole team chemistry just didn't work, so playing with Envy was fine with me.
Hmm.
Um, My only condition was that I would like to play either offlane or carry going into this team.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Um,
cool.
so I got the offlane role, and then yeah, I was in Kiev with my girlfriend, so I didn't really interfere too much with finding the last two players. I was just kind of reading on Skype and just saying yeah, okay, or something like that. Not too much. Envy and Poppy kind of took care of the rest. Envy also had to go to Japan and stuff, so I don't know exactly how, but obviously Envy wanted to play with Pilot Eye again, and then we needed a mid player, and there are not that many mid players available, and you had to try some new blood because that's like kind of kind of hip these days
You
to
gotta take a
get a
leap of
new
faith. Yeah.
guy and yeah and have some faith in a new player and some new blood, and we did, and that was kind of how the team ended up happening. Even though it's like thinking back at right after TI, I mean, I don't think anyone expected this composition of five players would end up in a team together. Like, so it does seem a bit random, but yeah, a lot of teams are random nowadays, actually.
Yeah, they
So
really, really, yeah.
it's
Well,
okay.
hmm. And the composition, like, okay, before we talk about the like, you said obviously I know that you're playing the offlane role, but I didn't know that that was your condition. How, like, what made you ask for that?
I think actually Poppy just asked me. I just told him I wanted to play with him and stuff, and he just asked me, okay, so blah blah blah. What role would you like to play? And then I just told him I would like to play either carry or mid, carry or offlane.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, so
I
you're
don't
sick
think
of
I don't.
supporting.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt like I had to try something new. Also in Cloud9, I played more of a five position role most of the time,
Hmm.
and I used to play four. Like in Alliance, I played four, played a lot of Rubik and Shaker and like kind of magical heroes. Where in C9 I was Skyward Mage and Bane,
Yeah.
and then Lion sometimes. Like it wasn't. I didn't get as much space, so I kind of got like I didn't get tired of it, but I kind of felt like I had to try something new to enjoy Dota again,
Okay,
in a
wicked.
sense. But I don't think I went into Poppy saying, "This is my condition, otherwise I won't play with you." It kind of just happened naturally that he asked me what role I wanted to play, and I
Yeah.
replied, and that's all.
Okay, nice. And so obviously you've been scrimming a bit too. And how are the games? How's the feel?
It feels good. It's very chill to play with these guys. In Cloud9, there was a lot of stressing and a lot of communication issues as well. So in this team, it's way more calm, and I actually feel like We can win games that we're behind in, or we can go late game. We can just farm, not
But how
stress
was it
anything.
in Cloud9 the beginning phase? Was it similar where you would? I mean, in the beginning, you guys were doing good too, and I mean, you've always been competing with the best, but you are
Mhm.
experienced enough to know that right now you're feeling good, and if you project it out into the future, is there? Um, are you taking that into account as well right now with your assessment?
Um, I don't even remember what it was like in DAC and in the beginning of Cloud9. I think we always had a issue with communication. That was
Okay.
even the first thing. Like if we talked about issues of the team or something we had to work on after DAC, I'm pretty sure communication was one of them because we lost some games. Game two against Secret, for example, in the most important game of the whole tournament, we were ahead and we lost because everyone was fucking screaming and no one everyone lost focus of what the fuck was happening because everyone was so hyped and talking so much random shit, and then suddenly no one has TPs and fucking we're losing throne while
Mm.
we're standing next to their base, stuff like that. Like, and so it was definitely a problem back then as well.
Okay.
But in Secret in this team, it's way more calm and it's very nice. Like
What's the
you can
understanding and the philosophy
actually
like?
it's more like you can actually just play the game. You don't have to like you get this feeling that everyone knows what they're doing.
Mm.
There's not this stress thing where you feel like you have to do something all the time. It's just very calm, very nice to play, very like not so much stressing. Like people's like we still play bad here and there, but it's not in the same sense that we it's more it's different. It's like there's not that much talking in general. Like and it's good because people just get to focus on their game and play, and the most important things are being said, and then you also kind of listen more when there's
Okay.
not so much noise going on in the back. You can focus on what's being said,
Mm.
um, and you can play late game. You don't stress. You don't kind of like if your tower is dying and one guy's like one guy says let's just leave that tower and no one else is talking about maybe we can def I can TP or stuff like that or I think we can do something, then if none of these things are being said, then you don't get into these fucked up situations where you like everyone's like not everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, I get what
It's
you're saying. Is that attributed to the fact that the team is new and everybody is still trying to feel out how things are going to be, or can you imagine that when there's more when your guys are playing games where there's a little bit more on the line, that it will be similar in nature?
I don't know for sure.
Mm.
We're gonna have to wait and see how it goes for our official games. But I think it also comes down to how people are individually. Like I don't say that much things in game. I usually only say things that are important, and I usually stay really calm. Same goes for Puppy, and I think we have also like he doesn't say that much. He's new and stuff. He's not played so much competitive before, and then Pi is kind of the same. It's just about how people are individually.
Mm.
Whereas in C9, Fata and No Tail would speak a lot and would be really excited to kill people and stuff like that. And that kind of the whole composition just didn't work. And we wanted to restrain them,
Mm.
and speak over them. And I would also kind of go with Envy and try and like battle it out. And then Bone Seven was captain sitting there like, "Whoa, what can I say? Like, not saying anything throughout a whole game, and that would
Yeah.
just be fucked up. So
Yeah, I mean, now that you mention it and look at the team composition, it does seem, I mean, Pi does make the impression he's a little bit more quiet. Weeha, I don't know. You are similar. EE and Puppy would probably be the more vocal ones. And in the scrims right now, Puppy is the one that's making most of the calls in terms of team decisions, or is it just everybody knows what's to be done?
I think probably me, Puppy, Envy, Pi. I think Weeha probably makes the least calls. It depends a lot on which heroes we're playing individually.
Hmm.
If I play a hero and I buy a mech, I would just make a call saying, "Let's go there now. I have a mech,"
Okay.
or and like maybe Envy would make a move, maybe Roshan call, or Puppy would say, "We should go here now," or something. I mean, it really depends. It's like a natural kind of reaction in the game to who has an idea of who has like who sees an opportunity in the
Mm.
game.
Okay, because when the first interview I did with PPD, the reason I asked this because in the first interview PPT said that he had heard that Papi, he respects him as a captain so much because he heard he calls pretty much everything. Like he is very detailed and says, "You go here, do that, then you pull or check the rune, whatever," and he just directs on a more smaller scale. I don't even know if that held true because the interview was so long ago. So that's
Mhm.
kind of why I asked. Um,
No,
in
I
term,
mean
mm,
he definitely does. He definitely acts as a captain as well. Like I have
mm,
never actually played under a captain, a true captain before. That's also something new about me playing in secret. Is that all teams I've been in the past has not really had a captain. It's always been some vague who's drafter, who's captain. No one really knows. No one really dares to step up, or no one really dares to step down. Even can also be an issue.
mm,
Um, but in when you play with Poppy, when you play in secret, you know, going into it, you already know Poppy is the fucking captain. You know, he's gonna draft. He's gonna be the captain. He's gonna make calls. Fucking respect him. You know, you already
nice.
do. So it's very nice in that sense to actually play under a captain. That is a big factor, I think, of why maybe the chemistry, or not chemistry, but like the team is so chill to play with, for me at least. It could be a reason to why it
Because
is.
we got Pupan in the driver's seat, and you can rely on him, and it's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's good to have a guy you can respect and you can listen to. When he says something, people listen probably a bit more than everyone else, and that I think that's really important.
Hmm. And in terms of Weha, uh, have you guys made sure to kind of talk to him and obviously he doesn't say a lot or show his personality a lot since he realized he is the new guy and he has to learn a lot and that's why he's probably putting a lot of effort into just learning and respecting your guys' decision. But there will probably come a time I can imagine where he would start testing out things. His person, you can't like suppress your personality the whole time. Have you prepared him and your team for that when that happens to make sure that if conflicts arise out of anything that you like, how you would deal with that?
Um, I don't know exactly. I think the way it is right now is that we kind of just play, and we usually we talk about the game a lot, and we talk about what we're gonna do in the game. And if something comes up, if something he does that he might not think about, like in the sense that he played so many pubs, but he didn't play much competitive.
Mm,
But these two things are completely different because some places you go on the map, or if you like in a specific time frame, like if some team is pushing somewhere and you just run around farming without mana and stuff like that, or some similar things like that. If that is ever happens in a game, we would always mention it to him, and
mm.
he would take it in. So it is kind of a in a sense it is a learning phase for him, because there are some things he's completely unfamiliar with.
That's interesting. Can you
Or
mention a few more things in that regard? Like you said, teams
I don't
pushing with no
know.
mana.
It's so specific. It's
Mm,
so that was just an example. It's not a very good one because, of course, he understands that fact as a player, but like I don't know.
like we got good Dota players listening in. I mean, if it's specific and you remember something, you can go ahead and share the situation if you want to.
Yeah, but I can't really remember it.
Oh, okay.
It's more about just like we give Weha food for thought. Like basically after games, you know,
Mm.
like when that happened in the game, maybe you. What were you thinking? What do you think about doing this instead, or you should have probably done this instead because this and this happened, or something like that, you know? And then he would
Gotcha.
understand right away, but he wouldn't think about it in the game because he's not used to the competitive environment and the way that he actually has a team behind him now. It's not just him versus the world
Yeah.
kind of thing like he's used to maybe.
Have you guys also talked about like since I also have no professional experience whatsoever, does it like do you philosophize or talk about what play style you would want to have? Like you mentioned, Bone Seven focus on early game, for example. How is it in Team Secret, and who are like is Puppy's philosophy the one and no input, or how's it go?
Um, no, I think we all kind of give inputs doing drafts and doing like come up with ideas for drafts, and generally like I don't think anyone has some certified specific thing that they're good at, or at least not yet. We're still a very fresh team, so it's still like we kind of now have a way of playing and some heroes that we find better than others for us and stuff like that, but
Mm.
it's not really set yet in that sense.
Okay. So you're looking forward to the new patch as well?
Yeah, I kind of am. I mean, we scrimmed a lot in this patch, and we would like to play some games now officially
Yeah.
um, in this patch, just because now we have practiced in this patch and we have our idea of how to play and stuff. So it would suck if the patch comes out on the day that we have to play officials. But yeah, I mean, generally, I am looking forward to the patch a lot. I think it is very needed. I think there are some heroes that are too strong and too annoying
Yeah, it's been a
in
long
the game.
time. Yeah, absolutely. Do you get
Yeah.
in your skill bracket? Do you get the Leshraks and the Linas spammed all the time?
Well, of course, I think everyone gets those.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, Techies and Lina and
I got my ass kicked by
Beshrak.
techies today. It's sick, actually. Well, I mean, in the like 4K bracket, sometimes it's most of the time techies are really shitty. But today there was a guy that just kicked our ass like crazy. So
Yeah. No, I had
good
one of those
hero.
games yesterday or the day before that as well. But that was like 6.5k bracket or something.
Yeah,
And he last picked Techies, and like we couldn't cross the river. Like it's so dumb.
yeah. How does it work in like when you play pubs? Do you have any recurring themes of things that really piss you off and you would like to tell people to stop doing it?
Yeah, it also goes hand in hand what we talked about earlier, this whole attitude thing.
Yeah.
And Maldini said it very very nicely. I don't know if I can repeat what he said as well myself, but it's basically something about giving up and like flaming your team, or this sentence, like the reoccurring sentence that everyone uses is like, "Oh, why didn't you stun him?"
Yeah.
Or "Why didn't you do this?" It already happened. Like, what the fuck? What are you saying? What's the point of saying this shit? It's so annoying to listen to it. This semi whiny baby rage kind of uh, shit. I think that's really annoying. I usually just mute people right away when they start doing this stuff.
Yeah. It's
So
yeah, okay. Yeah.
yeah, for me that's probably the worst part, and people giving up in the same way.
But that's also the most difficult part to fix, right? It's like so tied into, I don't want to say human nature, but it's
Yeah,
like
it's also very like these pop games they're infectious or whatever how you say it. Like when you start playing these pubs and everyone's like this, you become like this yourself. You start becoming annoyed. You start saying like fuck this shit. This guy's a fucking idiot.
yeah,
I
it's
fucking
true.
hate everything.
Yeah.
And you start becoming like this too.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a evil circle of some sort, and it's very hard to assess this problem. At one point, everyone in the game was muted. It's like a 1.5, 2 years ago. There was a mute system where you could report people and for bad communication or something, and they would get muted.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
I remember
everyone was
that.
muted, and they could only spam "well played," all the time. And that's not a way of fixing it. But I don't know. At this point, you might want to bring a system like that back because people are so disgusting in
Yeah.
pubs.
But I feel like Dota 2, like games that have these, since it's a problem, people will try to want to work on that. So it's kind of a way to almost um, facilitate social evolution, if you know what I mean. Since people want to learn, like essentially, it's inefficient communication. They say, "Why the fuck didn't you do that? You're a retard." But what they want to say is, "Okay, man, you are able to do this and that in a situation, and would really like increase our chances of winning a team fight." So it's a problem of people not being able to properly or like non-violently express what they they want, what they need essentially in the game. So, and that's fucking really really difficult because
It
everybody's
is. It is for sure.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why most professional players learn to deal with this, because you have known this as the problem for fucking years. You know, you've tried to deal with it for so long, for forever, and this is why. But public players, like people, amateur or whatever players, they, even though they're maybe good at the game, they don't realize this is a problem. Um, and maybe it isn't in public games in that sense, because it's just a public game. Like they couldn't give a fuck, right?
For me, it's not, man. It's the only thing I have, and I feel like it really, I fucking hate it. Like this bad
Yeah, I
attitude, it
mean,
sucks.
my Danish friend, who recently started playing Dota, he was like writing me as soon as yesterday saying, because he plays a lot of pop now, and he was like, "Holy shit, everyone is so toxic," you know.
Yeah.
And he just got his ranked MMR. He is like 2.8k or something, and
Okay.
like he was so surprised. He even came from like League of Legends and Counter Strike, where people, or I mean, in every esport, people are cancerous on the
Yeah.
internet. But I think in Dota right now, it might be edging it, like
And
being
he's
a
in the
bit.
trench, man. So it's another even worse.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. You think it's worse down there in that kind of bracket?
Yeah. That's a good question. I honestly, I mean, I do meet some really, really messed up people in like between 4 and 5K. So it's a good
Yeah, I
point. I
think
don't know,
that
man.
around the 5-6k bracket, I think is the worst. I think if you get a average 6.5k game, people don't really get that mad.
Hmm.
Like, but then yeah, the 5k games are probably the worst around that, at least from my experience. But yeah,
Okay. I could get pissed off and philosophize with you about Dota pubs and human nature for a long time. I can imagine. Um, but I'm actually through my list, and we are pretty good on time. So you've made your PSA. Is there any issues perhaps or topics that I didn't touch upon that you maybe want to talk about?
um, I don't know, not really.
Yeah, I mean we didn't talk that much about TI5, but I mean Cloud9. We got some good insight just into it was
I
rough.
I kind of don't want to get into any details and start like getting ahead of myself and start saying things I shouldn't say anything.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. We can apply what we said. We'll leave the past in the past, and
Yeah,
I'm very much looking forward to see how things develop for your team. It's still very very early, too early to tell. Or give answers to the questions I even asked. So I wish you the best of luck. That in this team, with your motivation level, you find exactly that what you've been looking for, because you've been around for such a long time, and I definitely feel like you deserve it, and I wish you a lot of success.
thank you.
And I thank you very much for the time, and yeah, I hope
You're
that.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Okay, Misery, thanks a lot, and I'll just say goodbye, good night.
Yeah, good night.
Okay, guys, so this was the talk with Misery. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a little bit late, but yeah, I hope you guys found some good news. And let me know on Twitter who perhaps you would like to have on the show next. I'll be happy to have a look through. And oh, by the way, Misery, what shampoo do you use? I did have to ask you that.
What shampoo?
Yeah, it was for a
Uh,
friend of mine.
I don't know. Some shit.
All right, so Randy, there you go. It's a stupid fucking question. Okay, peace out, man.